Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your guy, JD, and this is another episode of C.A.P. And what we're going to do today, we're going to cultivate.
And this is your girl, Erica J, and we're going to accumulate. And
together we will all
prosper.
What's good, Erica? It's good to be back in the booth.
Oh, it is absolutely wonderful to be back in the booth. Went to see a great play last night that my pastor did.
Okay.
Pretty good play.
It is the third weekend of June. Summer has officially started, so it's hot out there. But
Very hot.
Hey, we're gonna make it do what it do. So without further ado, let's get started with this buzz. First buzz topic we got is R. Kelly was rushed to the hospital for an overdose of medicine given to him by the guards there in North Carolina prison. What's your take on that?
So much, man. Like first, one of the first things that I started noticing as soon as this comes out, of course, the main thing that you start hearing the people say, well, he's in there because he's supposed to be anyway, and he did this. R. Kelly is wrong. Grant that. He was wrong for what he did, for what he's in there for. We got that. But he is rushed to the hospital for an overdose by the prison guards, and they said that he had a swollen leg, so he gets rushed to the hospital, and then he is forcibly removed from the hospital when the hospital says he needs to have a life-threatening surgery. So people are looking at this, like I said, granted, he was wrong. Yes, he's supposed to be serving time, and I'm not sure if he should just be let out of jail or what should just happen, but something needs to be done because that's something serious and it definitely needs to be investigated.
Yeah, two things can be true at once. Like I tell people, there's a duality in just about everything in life, but people are always going to go with their one side. Right. The man has blood clots. Blood clots is not something you play with.
In his right leg,
and
left
in
leg,
and his lungs. So with that being said, and then his lawyers are saying that, this was conspired by some other inmates and some guards, you at least have to take a look at that. They got him in solitary confinement. Hey, if something happens to him, regardless of what he's in there for, he's still a human being. Something can be done. I'm not saying you got to overturn his sentence or whatever the case may be, but you got to treat him like you would treat anybody else. Anybody that was non-melanated. I'm gonna put it like that.
At least let him get the care.
So you know me. I'm gonna say it like it is. So, but that's just the gist of it. No matter how you feel about R. Kelly and the crime or whatever was done, he's still a human being. At least get the man treatment.
Exactly.
And then also look into what's going on because regardless of what, he's still a celebrity that's in a prison with folks for whatever reason, folks don't like regular folks, so they're not going to like him.
And there was talk, even before this incident, his lawyers had already been saying that there's been some conspiracy of wanting to kill him.
Yeah.
So you have to look into these things.
Most definitely. Second buzz topic that's been heavy all week. Stephen A. Smith on ESPN spoke on the violence in Memphis. I'm going to let you give your take, and I'm going to give my take, and then we'll move on to our esteemed guest.
Okay, let me say first, and I believe I've said often, I was born and raised in Memphis. This is home to me. Do we have violence? Yes. Has violence increased? Yes. But this stuff that Stephen A. Smith is saying is not warranted. I don't think that it's fair to say that because of the violence in Memphis, players don't want to come here to play. At least come and see for yourself what we're like, which I hear he's supposed to be coming to Memphis.
Well, like I just stated before on the other topic, there's a duality with just about everything in life. Yeah, there's violence here, and I'm not a native Memphian, but I've been here since '06, so I'm a transplant. But for you to go on national TV and polarize and it's a reason behind this. This is my theory. There's a lot of folks that's in the sports media section and everything. They don't want the team to be here in this predominantly black city. And that's just my take, my opinions, and some other folks who may agree and may not agree. It is what it is. That's just my take. So, I was born in the Chi. Now, Chicago's bigger than Memphis. There's crime in Chicago. There's crime in Detroit where the Pistons at.
Exactly.
There's crime. And it's not to take away from the crime that's here because, like I said, two things can be true at once. But for you to polarize and then you throw another player under the bus because he mentioned Jimmy Butler.
Right.
And for sources on reached out to Jimmy Butler said he didn't say nothing like that. Whether that's true or not, even if it was true, you don't throw another man under the bus by saying and then he claims that he speaks to certain people here that he knows Stephen A. Smith like to hear himself talk. I mean, he does what he do. I ain't a hater of him, but sometimes he goes way too far. But we shall see if he comes here to Memphis to speak with the mayor because he said that, it's been said that he's been invited by Mayor Young to come in. He's like, I'm Hollis Queen, New York. I ain't scared to go nowhere. There's all that old stuff he like to say. But, you don't do that to try to polarize a smaller market because as far as I know, other NBA players that play here have not ever said anything to that effect.
And that's what I was about to say and then you just said that Jimmy Butler said that.
Well, that's what was said, that he made the comment that he had not had a discussion with Stephen A. Smith like that particularly about Memphis and that, right?
So therefore, the only person who we can know for sure is saying this is Stephen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, regardless of the fact, you got people on both sides. I've seen comments on social media, people saying people in Memphis feeling just hurt because they know it's true. Like I said, everyone know there's crime here. There's crime everywhere. And that's not to negate the crime from here. But when you're trying to polarize something, but you saying you want it to get better, you're not trying to help nothing.
Right.
You're trying to add to it. Because if you're really trying to make a difference, then once you know what the issue is, then you're going to be about trying to help make change and not just say, see, throw rocks and see, that's how it is, and that's why I left or whatnot. And I'm not even native from here, and I know that. So that's just the nature of people, man. People always like to, throw rocks and hide their hands and polarize for clout chasing on anything, and But I've never been a respecter of that. So it is what it is. But we'll see if he's gonna come to Memphis. Because on the news, one thing I do love about Memphis, is they will check you, and they were checking him on the news. And I sent the clip to my brother all the way in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He was laughing. He said, "Yep, they will check." I said, "Yeah." So I'm curious to see if he's gonna come down. Mr. Hollis Queens is gonna come down here to Memphis.
I want to be a fly on the wall.
Okay, so that's the buzz for today. Today we have a special guest as always. This brother, I've been on his platform a couple times, so we've collaborated. So now he's on my platform this time. He's a voice behind one of the most professionally real podcasts, so he's a fellow podcaster, Big Herc's World. Passion for music and as he said, running his mouth. He brings a bold, unfiltered voice that connects, challenges, and uplifts. He's on a mission to grow his podcast and audience and reach further. We introduce Marvin Morgan, which also is known as Big Herc.
What's up, y'all? It's me. I'm here.
All right.
Welcome to the show, man. So,
glad to have
besides what I said, tell our audience something you want them to know about you before we get started, man.
I'm your girlfriend's favorite podcast. So as soon as she says I'm not, y'all know the rest. There's a line there, and y'all should know it, but I didn't know if I could curse, so I'm just gonna let y'all fill in the blank, or
So
y'all
basically
will
she
hear it
lied.
later. Yeah, because usually it comes out, it just flows sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've collaborated a couple times. I've been on your platform. We've had some great discussions, man. So, I decided, I was like, hey, man, reciprocate that. Come on to the platform with me and Erica here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, man. What I wanted to ask you is, what was the pivot point for you to turn your passion from music into podcasting? Because you actually been doing this longer than what I have with this platform. So,
long story short, I've known what I want to do, like, with my life since I was like 6. I've always loved music and I always loved running my mouth. So I was like, how can I combine that? And everybody's like, man, go be a DJ, go be on the radio. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. So that's actually what I have a degree in broadcast journalism. Shout out to Rush College. And when I graduated in 2011, I was like, oh, so I actually moved to Memphis in 2011 and wanted to do radio. I can do TV stuff, but I was really focused on radio and realized like, oh yeah, like to get in radio, somebody either has to pass away or you got to be up at like 2 a.m. and just basically grind your way up. And first moving here, that just wasn't ideal. So I took a job and I just kind of grinded and did like little stuff on the side. Didn't necessarily do. I did some like voiceover work, but nothing too major. And 2018, 2019, somebody bought me for my birthday. Actually, somebody bought me my first like little podcast thing, some podcast equipment, because I had been talking about I missed radio, I missed music, I missed getting my voice out there. So for a birthday present, they bought me a starter kit to start a podcast. So that was back in 2018, 2019. Started a podcast called We Kicking It with my god sister. And we talked about just pretty much everything I talk about on Herc's World. It was just 2 of us. That cultivated into us joining an internet radio station called New Soul Radio, where I was the program director and ran the morning show for that particular that station.
was that station out of Memphis or somewhere else?
It was out of Chicago, but you can listen to it all over. They played neo soul Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday is all gospel.
Okay.
But I was program director for that. And then back in like 2022, maybe 2022. I left New Soul because and I tell this story all the time on my show. I've told it a couple of times. I never wanted to do Herc's World by myself. I was perfectly fine being a co-host, kind of bouncing ideas off other people. I was perfectly fine being just, second chair. But everybody was like, nah, like you need to do this on your own. Like you got something to say. People listen to you. People gravitate towards you. It's time for you to step out and, be in the spotlight.
Take the lead.
And 2022, my 35th birthday, the first episode of Herc's World was released, and we just celebrated year 3 this past May.
That's amazing. So you start Herc's World and you get that feel of doing it on your own. What was that aha moment that made you feel like this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing?
I think that moment came when I worked. So without name dropping, I worked at a couple phone stores in Memphis. We'll say that. And a customer walked in, and I was helping her and her boyfriend, and she's like, "I know you." I was like, "No, you don't." She's like, "No, I know you." I was like, "How?" She's like, "You hurt." Yeah. Like, your podcast. And I was like, "You listen to that?" And she was like,
Wow.
I listen every week. You a damn fool. I say, well, yeah. But she's like we listen to it and like, I want to be on your show. And I was just like, and it was refreshing. And like, cause I've always been the type, I do Herc Square just for fun. It wasn't until like people really start listening and saying, hey, I want to be on the show, or people start recognizing me outside of the podcast, when I was like, oh, okay. It's starting to make sense. People listening. So that was, I guess, the aha moment.
That makes a whole lot of sense too, because when I've been there and it's like, aren't you so and so? Yeah. But it's amazing. You're flattered, but you're like, it's just me.
Right.
I'm just me.
I'm
just doing what I love to do.
I just be running my mouth, and people be like, when you doing another, like, I remember, so like last year I took kind of like I call it a mental health break. Cause it was just kind of like life was life and I hit that little snag where I was like, well, you know, like, what do I talk about? Are people like people are listening, but like, how do I get to more people? And then like, why is this number still here? Like, why is this number here not higher? Or why is this number lower? You know, so I took that time away and somebody inboxed me and was like, hey, you ain't dropped the episode in like 2 weeks. What's going on? I was like, taking a break. It's like, nah, like, it's stuff happening and people need to hear you. So you need to, whatever it is, even if you just go live for 20 minutes and, you know, make it an episode, just do it. Because people value your opinion. They value your voice. And that was kind of like, okay, now that got me back into the groove of really, I guess, perfecting what I do and how I say certain things, how I do certain things. Cause it does turn out that people are like, they be anticipating, you know, different shows. They like, people like really enjoy coming on the show and talking whatever we talking that week.
Okay. That makes sense, man. You know, you never know how effective your voice is in the reach until, you know, you're no longer doing it and someone comes up to you or texts you and say, hey, you know, because I have people who say to me about the brain drop, even if I don't speak it on here, if I just post one in my story on my social media, and if I don't do it for a moment, they're like, what up, JD? What's good? You know?
Yeah.
So what I was going to ask you is, what have been some of your controversial topics you have discussed on your podcast? Because I know I've been I've been a guest on yours, and you know, there's different podcasts out there. I tell everybody, just like there's for folks who like ice cream, there's 50 million flavors. For folks who like whatever, there's different things. So whatever fits your audience, your niche, or you being your authentic self, you know, there's something for someone. So, but you know, we've had topics on here and we've had guests, but you know, I know it's a little different with yours, and it's not in a bad way. It's just a little different. So I just thought I would.
Most controversial. And I don't even want to. So I don't even want to call it controversial.
Yeah.
To me, it was like the one that was it's a couple that have just been like, are we really gonna talk about this and like in depth? All right, let's do it. So anytime we do a dating episode where it's like dating in 2024, 2025, and we have like a panel of all males or all females to get their perspective. So that those are always controversial, interesting. Shout out to the Towel Boys. And then the other one will probably be because actually in the works of doing a part 2. I did an episode on poly relationships. Didn't know like people were
polyamorous. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Didn't know like that many people were like
doing that in Memphis.
Just everywhere.
Oh, I know everywhere, but
Like,
you have some people from
but
here.
I had a guest, like her and her girlfriend and her boyfriend were, here in Memphis.
Okay.
Had a guy from Alabama. Well, he lives in Florida now. He was in a polyamorous relationship. Couple people in Alabama. She's not in it. She's not in a relationship anymore. But she was like the third wheel or the third person. So anytime that type of conversation, because I know like people, I feel like us as a society look at those type of situations like y'all kind of weird, but if you go into it and you do the research, like it's kind of normal in other countries, and it's normal, or it was normal, back in the day. So now for me and mine, I tell people all the time, I'm too lazy to be trying to entertain two women. Let alone I sometimes don't want to entertain the one I have when I have her. But trying to figure out two different personalities, and well, your favorite color is red and your favorite color is blue, and then you like this and you sleep with the TV on and you don't, and then they cycle sync up, then I can't get nothing, need nothing from nobody. Like I don't have time for that. So just give me one person. But everybody is different. So and then in doing research for the second part, I found out it's like subcultures in poly and like different types and names, and so yeah, it's been interesting, kind of just like researching and trying to figure out, okay, like how do I bring this to the audience? One, to keep it interesting, and then two, not offend anybody.
Right.
So I would say that would be.
So before Erica goes with her question, you did have a couple or somebody from Memphis that was on there that practiced openly.
Openly.
Oh, okay.
So when she said it, she's like, it's actually more people that practice it than
That say it.
that really say it. But she also prefaced with like, and I don't mean them folks that like you getting cheated on. Like I mean like y'all everybody know about the relationship, and they live in the same house, and they raise the kids together, and they split the bills and all the other stuff. So
oh my, that is very interesting to say the least.
It is, because I was like, I guess I see the benefits of a poly. Like like if you split the money, and if you got a permanent babysitter, you got if you don't want to do something at night, go somewhere else. Like it's all in there, but it's just one of them things. Like
I like to see those three folks go to. Well, we folks be at church anyway, so we don't know who. We don't know who in church that can be sitting next to their two wives or two husbands, and so I can't really say that because we don't know what's going on. So yeah, I just found it interesting that that somebody here in Memphis was not that wouldn't exist, but openly. Said it when you said some of the other cities. I'm like, okay, but it's like,
wow,
yeah.
Very interesting to say the least.
The person that I'm talking to now, she lives out in Chattanooga, and she was part of she actually prefers to be in a poly, because one of her reasons was. No one person should be responsible for another one person's happiness. And I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting. So,
wow.
You
have said a mouthful. So, my next question for you is, what has been the challenge in keeping your podcast afloat?
Money. Money and sponsorships is probably gonna be
definitely understand
that one. Like I said, I do the podcast for fun. I'll do it just because I enjoy it. But the advice that I give anybody that comes to me asking, hey, how do I start? First thing I say is, man, do your research and, man, have some money. What you mean? Like, it takes money to put together a quality product. Even if you just using like a streaming service that does all the stuff for you, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for good microphones. You got to sometimes, you got to pay people to come on your show. You got to pay for cameras. Like if you got a set like y'all got here, cameras and monitors and just artwork and lights and stuff. Like, so if you really gonna go deep into your if you're gonna get deep into your podcast bag, have some money or have the patience to understand, like, just because you like it and you love it and you love in your voice, everybody ain't gonna rock with it at first. I think my biggest thing, which is why I took that mental health break, I lost sight of why I was doing the podcast. I started looking at numbers and looking at, okay, well, I got to pay this and I got to pay that. I got to have a sponsor for this and I got to get somebody to do that. People, I'm asking people to come on the show. They flaking out on me. And that got to me for a minute. And then I kind of had a, that person, after that person reached out, and then I had a conversation with one of my homegirls, and she was like, that's not why you do the podcast. You do the podcast because you love it. Like, that's what you love to do. You lost sight of that. And I always said, like, if I ever lost sight of why I do the podcast, it's time for me to stop. Like, work is work. Podcast is should never feel like work for me. And that's why I keep doing it. Like, if it starts to feel like work, I'm doing too much.
I can definitely understand that. I can definitely understand that. They always have like little things that they say, like that one thing that that if you weren't even getting paid to do this, you would still be doing it. What is that one thing? Just like he said, knowing your niche.
Mm-hmm. Now that don't mean we not taking donations. Like let's not don't get it twisted. We will take your money. Like, I will gladly take your money and put it towards some on Herc's World. So don't get it twisted. Like, we take sponsorships and donations. If you know somebody that get grants, holla at your boy. But money and time, and money, time, and effort is what I tell like people that want to start a podcast. 3
powerful things.
Yeah, they most definitely, those things are needed. A lot of times people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And just, people, unless you're one of the celebrity podcasters that have retired from sports or you do movies on the side or whatnot, and they still have things that they do, but everyone else that's doing podcasts right now still have their jobs or businesses, whichever one, entrepreneur or employee or both, that they do besides the podcast that they do. So it takes money, time, and definitely effort. So just remember that when you donate into the C.A.P.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, to the when you donate, just remember that. Okay, so Herc, you on here on the C.A.P, and we always ask questions pertaining to the acronym. When I took the acronym of the word C.A.P, and so how did you cultivate your desire and gifts into what is Herc's World?
That's a good question. So Herc's World talks about any and everything that affects the Black community. Relationships, pop culture, MS, lupus, breast cancer, diabetes, like anything that affects us or people that look like us. If I can find somebody that is passionate and gonna talk about it, come on, let's have a discussion. So I took that mindset and just said, man, we gonna put that together with me running my mouth and throw some music in there, and that's how you got Herc's World. Like the way the way somebody described the show one time is like it feels like you listening to a radio show. Like you start off with the intro. Shout out to DA for the intro. Then right after that, my guy DJ Casual does the mini mix. And it's like 8 or 9 minutes of just straight getting you up, pump, moving, to get you ready for whatever we're talking about that week. Then, you actually drop the actual episode where, we talk about whatever we're talking about. And then there's like commercial breaks and all of that. And then we come back and end it with like, I don't really have a name for it yet, but it's like my final word or something like that. We got a segment called things you shouldn't think, songs you should not have been singing as a kid. Mm-hmm. So people like that fact that it sounds like, oh, I'm listening to this musical show, but they just so happen to be having a conversation during the music. So that's how I feel like I cultivate it.
Okay. So the A part of C.A.P, accumulate. What have you accumulated over the years that has made it all worthwhile?
Knowledge and fulfillment.
I like the fulfillment. Yeah.
Knowledge is because, the different topics that, we talk about, there's always somebody always has a different point of view. So, I never knock anybody for trying to get deeper in a knowledge bag. The fulfillment comes from just people listening and saying, hey, I learned something, or man, like you dropped that episode and so-and-so pissed me off because he was talking about this. All right, well, get in the comments and say it. Like it's structured for people to give their feedback. And then the other part of fulfillment was being able to join the network that Herc's World is now a part of, and just watch it grow from, man, I started doing this podcast in a spare bedroom in a house in Bartlett to a actual studio where we got cameras and lights and mics, and never would have thought we'd be there 3 years ago. It was just like, because like I said, I didn't want to do it. I was perfectly fine just being in the back, not having to step up and be, I guess, the face of the show. And then folks is like, hey, get out there. So shout out to y'all.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Every story has a origin. So you started off in the spare bedroom. Before I did C.A.P, came up with this, I had done podcasting. My first taste in it was a solo podcast I used to call Lifegistics or Playoff Logistics. And I did it on this app called Spreaker with SPR. And I did that for a few years, man. I still got some of the archive episodes on my Linktree. But it sounded like I was in the studio. I felt like I was on the radio because I added music. And at the time, I can only upload it to social media or send it to folks because of the fact I wasn't able to upload it on the main platforms because I didn't have the licensing for the music. Mm-hmm. But music was always something that I like. And, it was like an inspirational podcast, and or it was an inspirational podcast. And people thought I was really in someone's studio, man. And I'm sitting in my living room,
Great
you
feeling.
know, and was recording. But in my mind, I felt like I was in the studio, like, Keith Sweat in the Sweat Hotel or something. You know what I mean? Because I would do it at night when I would do it. When I know everyone where I was staying at was, it wasn't a bunch of noise, because,
Right.
I mean, if you're staying in an apartment or a townhome, there's people next to you. So I would do it late at night where either most folks either sleep or either go on to their second shift job or whatever. So I wouldn't hear a bunch of noise. And then, of course, I get the blanket or whatnot somewhere to kind of like, rig up some sound. Yeah, so it wouldn't. It can drown out any sound. And I would do a couple takes until I got it to where I wanted before I would upload that that episode. But I really felt like I was like I was in the studio, and people thought they was like, man, so where you be recording at? I was like, Studio J. And they didn't know, hey, where's Studio J at? And Studio J was in my living room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to, man. When you create, you take lemons, you make lemonade. You create something out of nothing. And look how God blessed me to come in contact with Cassius when I had this idea and approach Erica and someone else who used to be on here with us about this podcast. But I was doing that from home, and I was doing it from my phone with one of the at the time with the headset, like I'm in a call center. But you couldn't tell me I was my version of the Sweat Hotel, man, with a little bit of inspiration of Steve Harvey. So I had kind of remixed that joint, Studio J.
y'all are you was different. Like when I started Herc's World, like the first I want to say like. You know what? When we started, we kicking it. The first couple episodes, like that are still out there, them just sounded rough. Like you could hear why is there echoes? Like filter that out, and you try to use whatever tools you had. But it was raw, but it was real. And as we got better and started asking questions like, hey, how can I fix this audio, or how can I get this distortion out, or what mic should I spend a little money on, and how does this work? And it just kind of grew to of course we kicking it grew into us hosting the morning Get Down on New Soul, and New Soul from there turned into Herc's World. So but it's still days I be in the living room like, so I need y'all to turn that down, turn that off, and we gonna make it sound like we in the studio, but y'all can actually see if y'all, whenever y'all watch Herc's, or if y'all ever see Kobe in the background, I'm literally sitting on my couch in the living room. So if you see Kobe, I'm at home. If you see something else, I'm in the studio. But 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see Kobe because that's one of my goats.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that. Before I go on to this next question, when I used to record Life-Gistics, I was sitting in my living room in front of the picture of Kobe and Mike, the one of them at half court, and I would be sitting on my couch recording that and in front of that picture, man. So, it's to think back from then to now and to where this is gonna go. I'm excited because it wasn't. I wanted to be in radio, and I still want a chance of maybe of syndication one day.
Yeah.
Well, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
But you have to start from somewhere, and you just do it. Do it to your best ability, and as you believe in yourself, others will pick up on, because folks like that inspiration. Like what I'm saying, I was more so like the late night version of Steve Harvey / Keith Sweat, because I would play music, but I would play the music that fit a song that would fit what I was talking about, the inspiration and folks like, how you always had the right song. I say, well, That was a gift. I mean, I don't
Just
mean
come
to
to
brag, but it was a gift.
It just come to you.
It was. Yeah, it was like, okay, this song fits that. So definitely, man. So the last question I want to ask is to prosper. How has Herc's World allowed you to prosper?
People. Herc's World, in addition to talking about things that affect the Black community, we also because there's three of us now. Because I just added 2 co-hosts to the mix. But in addition to us talking about things that affect the Black culture, we want to promote small business. So we have what we call mini mix sponsors. Basically, you spend X amount of dollars. We put together a professionally made commercial for you that plays throughout the podcast. Every break is played. The DJ shouts you out. Your logo goes anytime we put out a flyer. Your logo goes on the flyer as the mini mix sponsor. If you don't want to necessarily do the mini mix, you just want a commercial. We put together another 30-second commercial for you, and it plays every time we go to break. We've had birth doulas on. We've had birth doulas. We've had birth doulas. What does Benita do? Creative content. People like she makes boxes and chess sets and all that. My DJ also owns a production company. He's sponsored, has commercials there. We sponsor pop-up shops. Right now, we're my shameless plug. I'm part of the greatest fraternity in the world. Shout out to Phi Beta Sigma. Our 90th anniversary is this year, Tau to Sigma, and they reached out and said, "Hey, put together a commercial. We're gonna sponsor. We need a commercial put together for on September 6th. We're doing a murder mystery, and then on the 7th of September, we're doing a gala. So they sponsored a couple commercials. So just basically highlighting small businesses any type of way we can is how I feel like Herc's World is gonna prosper. Because the more I blow up, I'm bringing them with me. So that's how it's gonna prosper.
Okay,
Like that.
that's what's up. So now we're gonna before we go into our next segment, which is a segment we have fun for everyone watching right now. You see that link below.
It's right there.
That link below. Click on that link and subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast.
Right now.
If you like the content that we've been putting out, keep supporting and refer your friends to subscribe. Also, don't forget to vote for us
Memphis Elegance
for the
Awards.
Memphis Elegance Award 2020-25 Podcast of the Year. We're in the running, and we would definitely appreciate your support. Category number 21, C.A.P, Cultivate, Accumulate, Prosper.
Let's go.
See, I'm trying to get like y'all next year.
So, and it's been a journey to even get there because the other nominees that's in that category, if I'm not mistaken, they have been doing podcasts a lot longer than we have. But once again, it's not the length of time, it's the strength of time of what you do. So, and we try to make it do what it do. So now we're going to go to a segment where we have a little fun. It's called Top 5. Everybody know that number 5 is my number. And I'm going to give you my top 5, let you give your take, and then Erica got a different top 5 or something, and you give her your take or whatnot. Okay. So top 5 lyrical MCs. Now, this is not saying your top 5 rappers. Top 5 lyrical MCs, because it's a rapper that's not going to be in this top 5 because I'm saying lyrical MCs. But if I would have said top 5 rappers, that rapper would have been in there because of their storytelling. I'm just talking about lyrically, how they flow with lyrics, how they put metaphors and similes together. And it's not in any particular order. So my top 5 Andre 3 Stacks, Rakim, Jada Kiss, Notorious B.I.G., and for the fifth one, it's a split. I got my guy from the Shy, Common, and then Nas. So this is just lyrical, lyricists, and it's not in particular order, but those are five. Really, that fifth one is like six, but they count as one. So yeah,
6 is my favorite number, by the way. Shout out number 6. So the only person, I agree. Like so lyrically to me, and I'm not gonna say top 5, I'm gonna say top 10. Like J. Cole has to be mentioned in that lyrical context. I probably would have took Common out and put Lupe Fiasco in there, in that spot. Just because Lupe's wordplay and storytelling to me is some serious.
and Lupe's good. I would. I like Lupe, but I would stick with Common because for one, Common was one of the originators out of Chicago, and he's even though he didn't flip Hollywood, he still can bring it. But when you listen to some of his earlier stuff, and then Common just he wordplay. He's a wordsmith. Nas is a wordsmith.
Nas
you know
was most definitely in there.
Yeah. So, but I'm still listening though.
So Cole, 3 Stacks, gotta go with Nas. Well, I'll keep Lupe in there. So in the last spot, I kind of got a split.
Okay.
I kind of want to go Ludacris, but I also want to go. I kind of want to go Jada, but I'm leaning more towards Luda.
Yeah.
But in an honorable mention in like DMX. So that would probably be mine.
Okay.
Okay. That was pretty cool. Now we're going to go with the lady
Okay.
who may be small, she may be thin, but she's a foodie, okay?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go with top 5 types of food. So if anybody knows me,
Okay.
they know I love Mexican.
Okay.
I love the cheese dip. I love the tacos. I'm loving chimichangas, all things Mexican. I can go Mexican. Lately, I'm getting more into vegan.
You said it's chimichangas or chimichanga?
Chimichangas, I love them.
Oh, okay. I thought
Some people say them two different ways.
I was gonna
Okay.
let her roll with it. Like, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was chimichangas, but it's all good. Keep going.
This man. Vegan, Italian,
Okay.
Caribbean food.
Okay.
Love some Caribbean food. So we got Mexican, vegan, Italian, Caribbean, and I can sometimes dab a little into Japanese. But instead of Japanese, I'm going to go a different type. I'm going to say seafood
Okay.
because I love seafood, all things seafood.
So top 5. Y'all watching this, y'all see I like to eat, so I'm gonna go soul food first. That's gotta be number 1. Mexican. Shout out to the spots. So okay, Mexican. You know, wherever I go, I get the same thing. It's the cheese, the rice, the cheese, the shrimp, the steak, chicken. But I just found out a couple weeks ago you can add broccoli in that joint. Add broccoli. If you get it, add broccoli. Change your life.
Okay.
So Mexican, soul food, Italian, cause and simply and I say Italian, like most people think like pasta and all that. I strictly said Italian because Home Run Inn Pizza, shout out in Chicago, and Lou Malnati's. When I go home, I gotta stop there and eat that. So Italian. I'll go Mongolian because I like the stir fry. I like the stir fry dishes. And then we'll go. We'll go Japanese. I like hibachi. So we'll do, that'll be my top 5.
Okay.
All righty. Well, before we go into our next segment, if you're watching the show like you always do, you're supporting them. Once again, we thank you all for that. But if you have any questions that you want to send to us so you can be featured on the next segment that's about to come up, the banana peel, send it to the C.A.P podcast 3 at gmail.com. What is it again, Erica?
The C.A.P podcast 3 at gmail.com. You see it right there.
Send your questions into us, and you never know, you may be selected for us to discuss on the next episode. So without further ado, we have the segment, The Banana Peel. And today's banana peel, let's go ahead and get off into it. Okay, it says, hey, JD and Erica, I've been with my lady for 8 years. We have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter. My lady has been hinting on getting married after 3 years in our relationship. I wasn't ready, trying to get myself together financially and mentally as a man. Being in a better spot now, I am ready to marry her. Before going to purchase a ring, she wanted to talk and inform me she no longer was feeling the relationship and have no desire for us to get married. She says we should just focus on co-parenting our daughter and move forward our separate ways. I don't understand. What is it really? And this is Solomon from Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Erica's going to give her take, then I'm going to give my take, and then we'll let our esteemed guest, Big Herc, give his take.
And our esteemed guest is already laughing, so this is going to be interesting. Okay, so here goes the lady talking, Solomon, okay? So sometimes you may run into some young ladies, and sometimes men can be like this, but you will run into some young ladies who, as I always talk about on here, are not very well at communicating. So the thing is, she's hinting on these things, but she's probably not saying how she's really feeling in this. It's like hinting because I'm ready to get married. And then you have ladies who are listening to their friends. You've been with him for 8 years. You have a daughter. When are you going to get married? You know, when are you going to do this? She's seeing her friends getting married. She may be a bridesmaid sometimes, never the bride. So she'll hint a little bit more. You know, are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about it? Eventually, sometimes without saying anything, a woman will get tired, especially if they're not communicating how they feel. So they get to the point where if sometimes she may have started to get quiet. She's not saying anything much anymore because she's starting to become uninterested, or she's listening to her friends. She's tired of them asking, and she's not saying anything to you. That is a serious problem, because if she's just hinting and she's not communicating it, then that there can be where the problem starts to lie. So if you're hoping that maybe this can work, maybe you can talk to her a little bit more, maybe get her to open up more to you. But 9 times out of 10, I would say it's probably best to just go ahead and move on, because you may find that person who is ready, because now you're at a good spot. Another thing that I look at, you said you were trying to get yourself together financially and mentally. The person who you with has to understand that too. So that's why there still has to be that communication where they understand this is what he's trying to do. I believe in what he's trying to do. And if she wasn't ready for that, then she really shouldn't have let it go on this far. Not 8 years without saying anything. So That's my take.
Okay, Erica, that was some sound advice coming from a female perspective. So I applaud you on that. Solomon, let me drop some proverbs on you. No, but seriously though, man, that is my favorite book of the Bible, King Solomon and Proverbs. But man, 8 years. Men and women, of course, think differently. 8 years. 8 years in time, that's a 2-term presidency. 8 years, that's 96 months if you're thinking of financing. 8 years, I mean, there's no timetable to put on anybody. Everyone is differently. But if she started hinting around year 3 about y'all getting married and you all have a 5-year-old daughter, I don't know how her hints came about, if she verbalized it or whatever the case may be. And I get it, as men, we want to be in a good financial place. And mentally, for whatever's going on, what was going on with you, want to be in a good place. But out of the 8 years, man, y'all have been doing kind of everything like you was married. Like I said, some women look at that. So not to take away from what Erica was saying, because I get what she's saying, but some women look at that and they're not necessarily wrong for looking at it like that, because in their mind, they're going to think you playing house. Like,
True.
But at the same time, only you know where you was, your status and everything that you need to be, that you wanted to be. But again, out of this 8 years that you've been with her, you all have a 5-year-old daughter. So, and around year 3 in that relationship, she start hinting around that, getting married. So I say all this to say, man, if she feels that way, Robert Kelly said, when a woman's fed up, it ain't nothing you can do about it. That's a quote from Robert Kelly. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's somewhat seeming like it. But hey, maybe talking to her, maybe if you all went to counseling, that's a possibility. But if it's not, take care of your daughter and move on. And I know it probably hurts and you're not understanding why, but I try to see things twofold. Even though I am a man, I'm just trying to see it twofold. I can never be in the shoes of a woman. Erica can, because she's a woman, and she can never be in the shoes of a man. But, we try to look at different perspectives. But like I said, once again, when you talk in terms of time, 8 years, what happens in 8 years? I mean, 8 years, a president can serve 2 terms. 8 years is 96 months. You got a daughter that's 60 months out of those 96 months, man. So that means that leaves you 36 months to be like, hey, let's make this official. She may have looked at it like that, being honestly. A lot of women do, and I'm not saying they're wrong for it, but, everyone got to know their circumstances and know their intentions and what it is. Because when she's ready, you may not have been ready, and now that you're ready, she's like, nah, why did it take this long? So people just got to get on the same page. But like I said, I would suggest counseling. But if she doesn't want to do that, then just take care of your daughter and move on. What's your take, Herc?
Before I answer, do y'all want the Big Herc answer of Herc's world, or do y'all want normal Herc answer?
Yeah, you be yourself, man.
Solomon, brother, she get piped down somewhere else. That's one. She don't like she was talking about getting married 3 years in. You wasn't trying to hear that. You missed the opportunity. You missed the window. She found somebody else that is she's talking to somebody else that is in her ear and doing all the things that you're doing, but he may want to marry her and she like him a little bit more than she like you. That's 2. 3, when a woman fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it.
Nothing.
It's a wrap, pimp. And I can kind of speak from personal experience. I was with my ex for 5 years. At about year 3, she was like, "Hey, what are we doing? Like, why won't you marry me? Why we not, getting ready to walk down the aisle?" And that we had that conversation was like, I'm not in a. I said I wasn't in the best financial space. I wanted to buy you this ring and all the other stuff. Truthful is, we weren't really supposed to get married because we wasn't really supposed to be together. Because we didn't have a strong enough foundation. Period. So now that she's, for lack of better words, moving on, take care of your daughter. Be outside, because it's a woman out there right now that is willing to be there for you the way you want her to be there. The way you want to be there for the way you want, and give your baby mama to the streets where she belong, or with Jody, because that's what she gonna be anyway. That was the calm version of the Big Herc. Because usually, when on my side, I've
been on your show, yeah.
I curse, and I be trying to be respectful of other folks stuff. And then somebody told me, "You curse too much. You got to work on that." I'm a grown man. If I'm gonna curse, I'm gonna curse. But Solomon, she getting piped down, and give her back to the streets and be outside.
Well, okay. Well, Solomon, you've got 3 takes, man. From Erica, our esteemed guest, Big Herc, and myself. All I can say is, man, just if all the talking has been done, and if she doesn't want to go to counseling to see if you all can have a mediator, if that doesn't work, then just take care of your daughter and move on, man. I mean, like I said, time is different for everybody, and can't say that she's wrong, can't say that you're right, can't say that you're wrong, and she's right. It was just the year 3, and out of 8 years, 5-year-old daughter,
that mean, so, and doing the math, they were together, cool. She wanted to get married when she had that baby. And when you didn't do that, that was your window. And that was it. She in her mind,
that's what it's saying.
Baby,
like.
wife, rest of our lives. And when you missed that opportunity and you didn't make her your wife right then and there, that's when she started to slowly check out.
Or at least within
at
least within 12 months of that.
Right.
So that would have gave you another 12 months. So I ain't trying to confuse y'all with math, because I like math when I was in school. But I'm just saying, 8 years is a 2 presidential term, is 96 months. But everyone is different. But and I was about to say that you took the words right out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. That 5-year-old daughter was born, right around the time the 3 years in of you all's relationship. So she probably was, she was thinking like that. Okay, we done had this baby. We've been together 3 years. Let's make this official.
Soon as you started saying that with the numbers, and when you first started talking, you said the 3 years, and I said 5 years ago. That's it, and then you just said it.
Yeah. So I want to be optimistic, but we also try to be truthful here. I'm not saying that it's over, but it's a strong possibility.
It's over.
It's a strong possibility that it is,
5 more years.
But
let her go outside.
Yeah, but
embrace your whole face. I'm embrace. Well, let me not say that. There are times where being outside is very, very fun. Be outside. Enjoy yourself. There's somebody out there for you that you won't. And I ain't gonna say this, I'm not even gonna say make the same mistake again. There's somebody else out there that you this opportunity may present itself again. You'll be ready, and you ready, and y'all will get married. And it's funny because I hear a lot of guys, or a lot of us say, or a lot of married guys say, I knew I was going to marry her within, you know, a week, or I knew within 6 months or whatever. We know. Like, I knew when I married my wife or ex-wife, I'm sorry. I knew I was going to marry her. Wasn't nothing going to stop me from marrying her. With my ex-girlfriend, I knew I wanted to, but I knew there were issues, problems, concerns that I wasn't going to be able to deal with in that new relationship where I couldn't marry her. So the next person, whoever she is, I'll probably know in, 6 months to a year if we gonna get married or it's time to call it quits. If nothing else, if you got nothing else from my advice besides She for the Streets, take a look at the time frame of the relationship. Be mindful of people's time. Like, I don't know how old y'all are or anything like that.
Yeah.
But to her, you may have, in her mind, to whoever she's listening to, because she might be listening to some of her friends, you may have taken the best years of her life from her, and she don't want to deal with that no more. You may be coming into your prime, and she may be like, "Look, I'm almost, 40. I want another kid, and I want the white picket fence in the house and the 2 kids and the dog." And you weren't willing to give her that when she wanted it, and you missed out.
So Solomon, take any advice from here. Use your better judgment with it. We just try to give you the best that we can here. So hope that works out for you, man. Okay. So now we have come towards the end of our show, man. It's been a great show. We want to give you a chance to let all of our listeners and viewers know how to support you, what you got going on, any upcoming events, and so all your social media handles and all of that, have at it.
I am your girlfriend's favorite podcast host, Big Herc, and if she says I'm not, that Jezebel's a liar. I didn't curse. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Marvin Big Herc Morgan. Instagram is I am the Big Herc. The podcast is Herc's World _24 on Instagram. TikTok is I think it's I am the Big Herc. I'll have to look at it. I just post random videos on TikTok. Please don't take me seriously on TikTok. I just be posting for fun. You can listen to episodes of Herc's World on the TCCE network. That's www.tccenetwork.com. Go under shows, go under Herc's World, hit details, and all the shows are there. Any new episodes are there. If you don't necessarily want to watch Herc's World, you just want to hear my voice, you can go Apple Podcasts or wherever you stream your podcast. Type in Herc's World, you'll see me, in this same shirt. Like I want my chain out like this. It's not this. It's not this chain. It's a different chain. But that is Herc's World. I think that's it. Oh, somebody told me, because I was doing an interview today. Somebody told me to explain why the number 24. Anybody that knows me knows that I was born and raised in Chicago. So Michael Jordan is GOAT number 1, but right behind Mike is the second GOAT in Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant. The number 24 signifies I was a huge Kobe fan. I wear 24 on the front and my back because Kobe's drive and ambition and determination to just get the job done always inspired me. So that's why you got Herc's World and then the number 24.
Likewise, because that's MJ and Kobe are my favorite 2 players, and we've had that discussion because when I've been on your show and we've done it, not me coming to the studio but streaming, you saw the picture in the background. So yeah, definitely understand that. So everyone, that's how you reach out to Big Herc. Support him. Just like you support our podcast, support his. We're all Black creatives trying to do something positive for the community and for the culture. So definitely. So now, without further ado, with the detour moment with Erica J.
Detours moment. Okay. Before I get started with the detours moment, if you would like to have me as a life coach or as a speaker at your event or at your organization, you can book me at ericadjackson.com. And you can also email me at Ephesians6pro@gmail.com. I am on Instagram as ejizzle34, as Ephesians 6 Productions and E6 Coaching and Consulting. And I am on Facebook as Erica Jackson, as E6 Coaching and Consulting and Ephesians 6 Productions. And you guys, do not forget, August 9th is my conference, my business conference, Manifest Conference. So make sure, beginning this weekend, tickets will go on sale. So I will be talking to you more about that. Make sure you are following me because we are ready to manifest. Okay, so now Detour's moment for today. We're talking about pep talks. I'm always talking about the different things that we have going on, the detours, the things at work, the things in family. There is so much going on, and sometimes we're about to spaz out. I know I am sometimes, especially lately. We are about to spaz out. Big Herc has even said how he had to take a mental break. Sometimes we all need to take mental breaks. I've always talked about that. But start giving yourself a pep talk. When you wake up in the morning, pray, maybe listen to some gospel music or some kind of inspirational music, and give yourself a pep talk. Speak affirmations to yourself. But there's a song that I love that says, sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes you have to speak victory over your own life. So start giving yourself a pep talk. Start speaking affirmations to yourself. Start speaking into your own situation. But make sure in all of this, you're praying and allow God to lead you on your path to destiny.
That was some wise words spoken by Erica J here. Now, before the brain drop moment, you see that link below. If you need a speaker, a lifestyle specialist, strategist, hit up my linktree/Jerry Davis. I would love to be a speaker on your panel or host a event that you have. Hit me up, definitely. Like I often tell you, I'm not a pastor or a politician, but I have something to say. So definitely hit me up at linktree/Jerry Davis for any of those services. And now to the brain drop. Desire is where you want to go. Discipline is how you get there. Let me say it again. Desire is where you want to go. Discipline is how you get there. Many people have a desire for a lot of things in life. You can have a desire to build a business, but you got to have the discipline enough to know the ins and outs of building a business and budgeting and everything like that. You could have a desire to want to get in the gym and get in shape. You got to have the discipline enough to get in that gym at least 3 times a week. That's at least. And putting in the work and the effort, not looking at anybody else, but focusing on what you got to do. You can have a desire to, like we talked earlier with the banana peel, to want to get married. Well, you have to have the discipline to change what you need to change about yourself to be the person that you want someone to desire, and then look for things and people that you didn't look for before. None of the frivolous stuff, but or the surface stuff, but things that matter. So desire is where you want to go, but discipline is how you get there. And a lot of people want their desires, but they don't want to operate discipline in order to get what they desire. I often say this because we hear the scripture a lot: faith without works is dead. Well, you can have all the faith in the world, but you don't put the work in behind there. You know, God is not a genie. He can do any and everything abundantly and exceedingly what we can ask for, but you got to put in work behind it. So if you got a desire for something, you got to have the discipline to put the work in order to get said desire. So that's the brain drop for today. We've had a good show today. Thank you, Big Herc, for coming on, man. I look forward to some future collaborations.
I'm most deaf. We in the works of getting together people for dating in 2025. So
Okay.
if you and Erica wanna, come on and give y'all different perspective and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of dating in 2025.
Man,
because when I do them type of shows, it's more of like I try to get people that are like dating, people that are single, people that are like engaged, people that are married. So you kind of get different point of views. Because I do believe, like, even if you are married, you never stop dating your partner. If you're engaged, you never stop dating. If you out here in the streets, you never stop dating. So, so if y'all, when we get it together, man, if y'all want to
just let me know, man. Just let me know. If I'm available and it coincides with schedule, I'm down. You know what I'm saying?
I would most definitely be open to that.
Definitely. I'm always up for a good discussion.
I love to give that single female perspective. I love it.
It's ghetto out here, y'all. I ain't gonna say it like.
Woo.
It's crazy to the simple fact that like people say they want something and then they get it and then it's like, oh wait, I really didn't want it. It sounded good. So that's it for me. That's dating in a nutshell. Like, I want this and I like it and I enjoy it. Here it is, and then wait, I got it. I don't know how to deal with it.
So people be thinking they getting Sprite and they got Big K lemon lime. They got Impossible.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that new? What's that new one? Starry. Yeah. You want a Sprite, but you got Starry. Or you want a Coke, and Sonic gave you Diet Coke, and you're like, why this don't taste right? Because it's Diet Coke.
Well, such is life, man. You just gotta navigate these waters out here of life in all facets. But we've had a great show today. Once again, want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
And like I leave you with at the end of every episode, if you're gonna be anything in life, be for real. This is JD.
This is Erica J.
Peace.